So,
Hey, Breaking the Bold. I have Breaking the Bold here, also known as Brian, but we like to call him Breaking the Bold. And this is Rare Digital Bird. And I just want to let's bring you up here.
there I am.
You are an Irish madman, motion designer, crypto artist.
Oh no, that's my Twitter bio. It's true.
So a lot of people may actually be really interested in your name, Breaking the Bold. Maybe we could start with that before we
Okay,
go into your projects and stuff.
cool. So, but Breaking the Bold is kind of a reverse of my company name, which is Bold and Break. And Breaking the Bold and Break is the kind of corporate version of me, the one trying to work for clients who I love, of course. um, and the Breaking the Bold is kind of the other side, the more artistic, creative side. That is the less corporate version. But it's playing with the idea because the name's quite strong. It's kind of alliteration, so it kind of both names hit home.
Yeah, yeah, I like that name a lot, and yeah, that's cool that it is connected to your YouTube channel as well for
Yeah,
motion design. So, and you have a lot of great videos on there,
thank
um,
you.
which is and very informative videos. Cool.
I always wonder if they're too technical on there. I feel like they need to be more simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have like a range, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Technical and simple. So cool, cool. So we're here on Rare Digital Bird, and we just want to talk more about your story and who you are as an artist, and then even go into your projects and stuff. So um, maybe start off with the story, like behind you, and
Yeah,
I
see.
guess the first time you came across blockchain and NFTs. Yeah.
So I first came across blockchain, didn't know it was blockchain technology then. I just knew Bitcoin when I was a very skinny, underfed person in working in retail, stacking shelves very late at night while trying to do internships. And myself and my friend, who I'm still friends with today, we said, "Oh, should we mine Bitcoin?" And we were so broke at the time that we calculated that it wasn't worth mining Bitcoin because it was like pennies at the time. I think it was like 2016 at the time, and earlier, probably 2014, and we're like, oh, the electricity will cost too much, so we won't mine it. How little did we know?
Oh man.
So that's kind of when I first looked into kind of cryptocurrencies. I was always interested in it, always kept my eye on it, but never really took the kind of jumped into it. Um, and then in lockdown, like everyone, I became a financial expert. uh, and a stock trader. No, I didn't. But I saw there was a artist who I know from lynda.com, Angie Taylor, and she did a tweet, might as well give it a go, and she was talking about async art. I thought, oh, what's this? And that name rang a bell, and I was like, I looked in my email, and they had invited me to their platform, I think maybe a few months prior, and I ignored it, and not because I thought they were a scam by it, but I always get these emails of like, oh, submit your art to this wallpaper thing, and I just didn't know how you'd make money off something like async. And then I looked on async and I saw the money people were making to Ethereum, and I was like, oh, I've got to put stuff on async. And I put something up. I think I was a little bit intoxicated when I did it, so there's typos all over my first piece, which is embarrassing, but we'll just go with it. And I was very, very fortunate to have Basilius purchase my first NFT. And when I opened up my phone with the email notification next morning, it'd been a very difficult year for me and my family because I was not getting work because I'd just gone freelance and then lockdown hit. And I saw it, and my jaw dropped. I was like, why would anyone pay this much money for a piece of? Because I've just been putting stuff on Instagram, and just kind of like putting my work out there because I love to make work. Didn't think anyone would pay for it, and that's why it's like, oh, there's an opportunity to maybe become an artist, and that's kind of where it all started.
Very cool. Actually, I want to share what the one that you posted on Async. I think that would be fun to share. So this is tell me the story. I mean, there's a good story behind this, like the actual work itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I'm convinced before the age of 2, babies are hallucinating. uh, because they have a big hole in their head. So that's my first piece of evidence. Basically, I changed my daughter's nappy, and she'd always be looking like away from behind me, or when I lift her, and it was almost like she was focusing on a certain point or something that I couldn't see. And I just had this idea. Imagine if she's like seeing into another realm or another dimension, or she's seeing this ghost and I can't see it. And it's meant to say, does she see things I cannot see? But, because, and I'm going to play it off of, because I'm a tired dad that didn't get any sleep. That's the typo.
Right. And this was before you knew that once you put things on the blockchain,
Oh, yeah, you can't change it.
it.
And I remember I messaged what's his name? It's one of the devs at Async, and I was like, "Oh, can I change it?" And he goes, "Unfortunately, not." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What's this? What's the point of Web3 if you can't change anything?" But I didn't. I wasn't educated enough, and I realized I learned from my mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. That's fun. That's fun. Okay, yeah. So you finally got into NFTs, and you started like going in like the deep side of the swimming pool by going on Async, as opposed to
Oh,
just
so I thought that was the only NFT platform. I thought that was how all NFTs worked.
right, right.
Um, and then I saw like Super Rare and Foundation and all these other things, and I was like, well, because I remember, so it was funny because I worked in digital design before, and I did a little bit of product design. So some of the stuff that we're doing on Async, I was familiar with from my own professional experience, and I was like, this is mad that you can do this, but is this all NFT platforms? Sorry. And then I saw that on like Foundation you could just throw up your videos. I was like, oh, I really kind of screwed myself here, because now I need to figure out what Async is and how it works. But I think it was actually the best introduction to blockchain technology, because Async takes full advantage of what the capabilities of what you can do with art. It's still pushing the boundaries. Whereas, just putting up a video, or that's like a lot of my work is just putting up videos, but I think it really forces you to think about art in a different way. Any piece now I put up on Async, I kind of have to think about the piece before I do it. I can't just do it and just throw it up online. You have to make a piece that's like, I don't know, functional for Async, which is really cool because it forces you to be creative in different ways.
Right, right. Just for anyone who doesn't know what Async is about, they have several different tools that make it easier for artists to make their art dynamic and change. And they also have a music um, feature as well with Blueprints now. Blueprints has both and just art, right, and also
Yeah,
and art with music. So, and they have other tools as well. So, yeah, that's
I,
definitely
I think it was the music thing that blew my mind. I've never ever seen. I've always thought about. I was like, do you know when you listen to a song or one of your favorite songs, and you think of like, I don't know if other people do this, but like I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could put this into synth, or if I wonder if I
yeah,
could put
yeah,
this
yeah.
into like hip hop, or I wonder if
I
I could
know.
do a boom bap beat, and you're doing it in your head, and now Async give you the opportunity to remix your favorite song into something else that the artist gives you different stems, gives you different sounds, and I'm like, that. Imagine if the Gorillaz did that in their first album.
Oh wow, that would be amazing. Yeah, I do that too. I'll take songs and I'll re-sing them in different genres, and I
Yeah,
think that's just so much fun. So it's cool to see that, yeah, materialize through Async. That's really cool. And I know that you're doing some music yourself, and you also have some animated um, stuff on OpenSea, right, with music.
Yeah, so I have the synth 808 synth club because I'm a big vaporwave synthwave head. Wasn't born in the 80s, but you know it was my era. um, so it's yeah, I just love the colors. I love the kind of the nostalgia. I kind of really got into synthwave during the Kavinsky era after Drive. Um, the movie Drive, which I love. And I just kind of ran with that aesthetic for a huge portion of my personal work. And then I came across an artist through gaming who makes synthwave, and we came together. And he eventually made an album. I made visuals for him. I made the album cover. His name is Gene Shorts. I'm actually using a lot of his music on this. Really cool guy. Outside of music as well, he does a lot of humanitarian work, which is quite cool. Um, and yeah, so I kind of messaged him. I was like, "Oh, do you want to actually make more music?" And he had kind of worries around how blockchain affects the environment. And I was like, "Look, I appreciate that, but do you mind if I use the music?" He said, "Walk away." So I'm kind of using stems and stuff from his music and just sticking them in there and kind of relate it to the story I'm telling through the 808 Synth Club.
Very cool. Let me see if I can play this, if it'll actually go through, because this one's my favorite.
I do love that song. I think you can, yeah. I think it's quite faint.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I actually have that. Thank you so much.
No, no. I think I want to give out more because it's less about like just selling it, and more, I just want to try and get people more involved, and that's kind of
Oh yeah.
it's kind of laziness on my behalf because I haven't been getting more of. I've been releasing as many 808 synth clubs, but I think I'm always kind of looking for either visual artists to get involved or musicians to get involved because it's kind of a loose, ambiguous story in the 808 synth club of the future if we get there with the way things are going.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this idea that we actually have like space travel, and we start like doing these amazing things with finding like there's a planet in the 808 synth club, and it actually does exist. Well, NASA believe it exists, and it's made of diamonds because there's so much carbon on the planet.
Whoa.
Which
What's
is
this
quite
planet
cool.
called?
If you open it up, I can't remember because it's some fancy science name.
Okay.
I think it's so the glass planet. It rains glass on that planet, which
Oh
is quite
wow,
cool.
that's so cool.
So these are real planets. These are based off of real planets, and my idea is that humans travel to these planets to get away. It's like hundreds of light years away. But the idea is like, oh, we could travel at light speed, so we can go there and just mine the planet of which we would do.
We could find a wormhole.
Yeah, exactly.
Find a wormhole or something. Bend time and space.
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Be very cool.
Cool. Yeah, we're like a little baby step closer with Elon and Mars. So
yeah, who knows? I might get Mars up there as the pre-origin story.
Yeah. That's really cool. I love that you're using those particular planets. That's so interesting. Cool. And you have other projects. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that, or did you want to talk about anything else prior?
Yeah. So I got accepted to Known Origin. I think it was about 5 months ago, and I've just been slowly putting up projects on there. I did do a long pause because gas fees were so ridiculous up until the crash, and I'm sinister. I welcomed the crash. I was like, low gas fees, liquidate the idiots.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got some new projects up there. I could talk about each one individually,
okay,
which would be quite cool. So if we go down to the bottom one, Zanland. So this is an extension on my commentary on drugs and addiction, which I talk about a lot. And this is actually quite a dark one for the colors that are used. It's about my father who was... Oh, my light just went. One sec.
It's a sign.
It's a sign.
It's a sign that you need a new light bulb. Or a new light. New lantern. Oh. You still here? I can't hear you. Okay, well, while we're waiting for you to get back on, yeah, if you want to look up Breaking the Bold, he is on Known Origin. Let me see. Okay, are you back? No. I still can't hear you. Oh no.
No.
Oh, I can hear you
There
now.
we
Okay,
go.
great.
Cool.
Awesome, you're back.
I can hear
Okay.
myself though.
Wait, what?
I can hear myself though. Oh no, I can't hear myself now.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating so much.
I know my.
It's so hot. Okay.
Okay. Hopefully my light
We're
stays.
dripping.
I
It's
think the
losing-
charge went.
Losing weight while I sit here. Okay, so is everything cool now?
I think so. So I'm gonna. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's talk about Zanland.
Yeah.
Zanland is about my father who was addicted to benzodiazepines, and it's basically talking about this idea. The problem with Xanax, I think it's actually a really, really dangerous drug because it's used to like quell anxiety. It's used to quell like fear. It's used to quell things that are there to keep our ego in check. And then when we take it, it makes you feel infallible. So the main issue with Xanax is that when you're taking it, you don't think there's a problem because you feel infallible, because it gives you that sense of relief. So you go around thinking like that you're not making a fool of yourself, whereas you are, and you might be embarrassing people, or you might be saying silly things in public. But in your head the whole time, you're like, oh, I'm game. And it's quite like, it's funny but dark in a sense. I'm not having a good time.
You're blurry.
No. Is that better? There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, basically it talks about this idea that you never think there's a problem, so you just keep taking it and you keep crawling towards your next high. And every time there's something, someone tells you there's something wrong, you never think there is, because the drug itself tells you there's nothing wrong. And it's very hard to see a reflection of yourself when you're addicted to benzodiazepines.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow! And your dad was in the military, right? So you were like moving around a lot, and so that was kind of a stressful life as well, right?
Yeah, so he was out of the military by the time I came along, but he still had a lot of the symptoms because he served in Nam. So he served in Vietnam. He was quite old. So he had a lot of the symptoms of, a soldier who was PTSD. So I understand why he fell into the trap of benzos. And I completely empathize with people who take benzodiazepines. But it's a kind of it's a losing battle from the start, I think.
Wow. Wow, that is a very deep story. And a lot of is there a lot of your work around your dad as well? Sorry. Oh, I actually wanted to show you this, but we'll do that later because this is not the right
best segue ever
for that. But yeah. So you have a lot of work. You have other work concerning your dad too, right? That's ACE.
Yes. So I think, what was it again? Oh, it was anxiety. And anxiety is definitely connected to my father, but it's less so connected to my. Sorry, I'm just trying to tweak this light so it doesn't go again. So it's less connected to my father in the sense of it takes what I know about Xanax, and then it talks about, like, there was this huge epidemic, and still is across America and Europe, of young Gen Zers taking Xanax as a way to deal with their anxiety. Especially with the kind of the sad boys, all that kind of, like, sad rap on SoundCloud. Nothing, again, it's not, I'm not coming from a place of political opinion. I'm just kind of like talking about it more or less. I've watched some friends who kind of, they don't take Xanax necessarily on the regular, but I almost got overly concerned about their use of Xanax to quell anxiety, because it became such a popular drug in my, like, mid to late 20s, watching people take it. And I'm just talking about that kind of idea of the start of the day and the end of the day, which kind of snowballs perfectly into the idea of why we take Xanax. And those stills are from an animation I did, and I'm kind of waiting to put up the animation, and I kind of tweaked the stills to suit async a little bit more, the colors and stuff. But there is an actual full 1 minute long animation to this that I will one day maybe put. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'll put it. I'll release it on the blockchain.
That would be cool. That'd be cool to see. Cool, and we have to talk about why a lot of your work is purple.
Synthwave. That's why. I guess I fucking love purple. I guess I don't know where that obsession with purple came from. It definitely was. I was heavily influenced by the graffiti scene. As a hobbyist, the saturation and colors that writers use. When I say writers in the graffiti scene, I mean, people who tag on walls. But back in the, like, 90s, 80s, like, the color in graffiti is so saturated and so rich, and I think I got my color inspiration from that. And then I got huge inspiration from the synthwave kind of movement in my mid-20s. So I think that's where the purple comes from. Yeah, so that's my story with purple, because everyone says your work is so fucking purple, man. I was like, fuck it.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, purple. And it reminded me of this. I saw this. It's called Breaking the Mold.
Oh, wow.
It's a nail polish. It's in the purples. It's a purple nail polish.
We need to get them to sponsor me. No, yeah. That's commercial. That's too commercial. I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay, so
I should take that and I should do some wacky shit with it.
You
Breaking the Mold, yeah.
Yeah, but you have other stuff. You said you have stuff on Known Origin. So let's go back to that. You wanted to go through each of those projects. So let me bring that back up, and we can talk about the next one, which is this You Done Goofed? Oh, no, wait.
I think it's You Done Goofed. I think that was the next one, yeah.
Okay, let's do that next.
So this one is a bit more interesting. So I made this when my partner was in labor, she was in labor for a very, very long time. So it wasn't like she was, like, dying at the other side of the room and I was like, just making an animation. She was, like, chilling. I was on my laptop.
Yeah.
She was in labor for, like, something like 50 hours or something. So it was quite a long. I made two pieces of work in that time.
Wow! Was it all influenced by or inspired by it, or?
It was, in the sense of I knew I had. Oh, I think I can hear myself.
I mean, you sound great to me, but I don't know.
Okay, no, then it's gone now. That's weird. So it was inspired by the fact that I was thinking I'm bringing a child into this world. Well, my partner's bringing a child into this world, and I just don't get some of the things that society has risen to, and cancel culture, and some of the extreme wokeism that has suppressed thought, and not suppressed thought so much as if I make a mistake 10 years ago and I make enough change, holding someone accountable for that mistake seems just totally erratic to me. People are allowed to change. People are allowed to, say, I used to use derogatory terms, when I was a gamer. Gaming is notorious for using the worst terminology. I don't use those terms anymore. But if I was on Twitter, which I didn't at the time, but if I was on Twitter using those terms and someone scrolled down, and let's say I was way more notable than I am now, well, I'm not that notable, and I was just cancelled off the bat, that feels unfair to me, because I've kind of, and I know there are people out there. So this is what this piece kind of talks about, more or less. It talks about nihilistic liberalism, this idea of being left, but focusing on the wrong issues being left. And you're not, and it also references Anonymous. So don't expect us expect us. Yours truly is Anonymous. So this idea that Anonymous is almost like the 4chan era of say what the fuck you want, not give a fuck, it doesn't mean anything, which is, had its problems too. Mm-hmm. You Done Goofed references the video, when that child, her dad gets on the live stream with the hackers and she goes, "You all done goofed."
I'm not familiar with that.
It's really good reference. Yeah, it's really cool. And 4chan got all these t-shirts with this guy's head saying "You done goofed" on it. It's very funny. Oh, wow. So I'm kind of referencing a couple of things there, with that kind of the 4chan era, nihilistic liberalism, but it's mainly focusing on the idea of, we've taken the idea of, I think, progressiveness, not progressiveness is the wrong word, but we've taken the idea of language control a bit too far at times. But I think that's actually dialed down in the past. It's definitely since lockdown. I think people's a bit more grounded after realizing what's important in life.
I don't know.
Maybe I've switched off. Maybe I've switched off.
Maybe you've blocked some people on Twitter. I love that. I love the message, and I love the cultural references. That's so great. And it has this glitchy feel to it. I mean, it's glitch art, right?
Yeah, basically. So, lulz is like lulsec. So, yeah. And there was another theme of that, of like, which fucking pisses me off. Sorry, but this idea that Web 2.0 and the Silicon Valley bros really annoy me, because there's this like rich idea that we can fix anything through tech. And it was just that is such a dead message now.
I remember back in the day, everybody was like, "We can solve it with blockchain."
Medicare, blockchain.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. Blockchain will solve it. Have a toothache? Blockchain will solve it.
Not happening.
Yeah. I hope we're smarter now. Okay, so next one. This one's interesting. You've animated this. That. I remember you had a still of this at one point.
What's interesting about this is there is a still on async. So if we pull up the async one for a sec.
Okay, let me do that.
So there are two versions to this. And I do say, I think it's important, if you're an artist, to say you have another version somewhere else, or this is a different version of the version, because if a collector is going to buy it, you want to, you don't want to dupe them, or you don't want them to feel like you're duping them.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Okay, so this is
Siegfried.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So if you pull up the master.
Okay, let's go to the master.
Because Siegfried's on his own layer.
Okay.
So you can actually move Siegfried along the dungeon here, with each frame. So I think it's like 12 frames, 12 pictures, and you can move Siegfried along, and you can also turn the little lights on by the door on and off. So that's quite cool. And I think it was my second or third piece on async, and my idea basically was that, it's like it's like a kind of a game that you're obviously not a game, but it's like you're moving Siegfried, which is quite cool. There is a second version, and you see the second version in the animated version, which is quite cool. There's a story behind this. Isn't necessarily. It's really interesting story. I lost my job in Brighton, and my main. This is about 7 years ago now, and one of my best friends, who I talk about quite a bit, is Kevin O'Shea. He was working as a junior motion designer for MIE, and I rang him. He was the first people I rang. I was like, I've lost my job. It's because the company's restructuring. I need help, man. And he goes, I'll come down to Brighton this weekend, and we're going to stay up all weekend, and we're going to work on something. And this is what we worked on.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we worked on this together. We both did it together. We both kind of took shifts. We were so deliriously tired, monster drinks. There was a boxing match on that weekend in America, so it was perfect because we had another excuse to stay up for. And yeah, so it was quite cool to work on that. And it's weird because it's one of my earlier pieces. A lot of my earlier pieces don't age quite well because as you're an artist, you get better. But this feels like a bit timeless in its aesthetic, which is quite nice because it's about 7 years old, which is very cool.
Very cool. And can we explore this artwork? I want to kind of see all the different layers.
Yes. Oh yeah, if you go down, you'll have so you can move Siegfried along.
Right, so Siegfried is moving. So these are the different states.
Yeah.
And then does it get to a point where the lights turn on?
So you have to turn on the lights yourself.
Oh, okay.
This is weird because I was more experimenting. So the next layer, there's a state 2. And so.
Okay. So
and this is so experimental because I didn't know how async worked, so I was just experimenting with this at the time.
Yeah.
And it's a super simple concept, but I was like, this would be cool to do.
No, it is. It's very cool. I love it. So let's see. You've got the actual. So
yes.
Is this a continuation of, like, is there a storyline of some sort that you're putting together?
There's no real story. It's just kind of based off the nostalgia of old dungeon crawlers, dungeon explorer games, in the 90s. This idea of like a Diablo, but obviously in kind of retro form.
Yeah.
Much nicer than Diablo. Diablo's quite dark and sinister, but there's quite the nice thing about this piece is because it had a bit of me and a bit of Kevin in it. It wasn't just me, so it had a bit. There was a middle ground we had to come to when we're working. It was just an idea more to help my motion graphics portfolio at the time, and it just ended up being this really nice kind of nostalgic childhood piece. And I kind of just lean into that in the description.
Got it. Is that what led you into Breaking Bold and starting Breaking Bold?
Video games, because I wanted to originally be a video game artist.
Okay, you got into video games. Sorry, Bold and Break.
So originally I wanted to be a video game artist, and I realized that is not the most healthy industry to be working in. So I decided to kind of be more of a generalist, and that led me into video and motion graphics more.
Okay, got it. So it's not healthy because you're sleeping on a cot at the company because you're like 24/7 working on games?
Yeah, and it was at the time. It's improved now. It's improved quite a bit now because I think all the creative industries as a whole are very immature. They've only been around so long, but it was also horrible to women at the time, like really bad to women at the time. And it wasn't.
I was actually in the gaming industry too.
Oh, really? Where?
So Mech Commander, Mech Warrior. I was actually. I don't know if you ever heard of BattleTech or Red Planet.
Yes, I do know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so I was involved with that company. I'm even on.
Sick.
I think I'm on Mech Commander 2.
Wow.
I'm not a very good character on Mech Commander 2. They didn't make me the hero of the game.
Were you a voiceover artist?
What?
Were you a voiceover artist?
They asked me to do voiceovers, but I was actually like an admin, and I'd run the games and things like that when I was doing the stuff on location.
Sick.
But when I went to the actual headquarters, yeah, I was more admin and production assistant. I was kind of doing a lot of things.
Everything, because that's what everyone did back then.
Yeah. But I do remember a lot of the people, all the devs and designers, well, not all of them, but a lot of them would sleep at the
Yeah.
company. They'd have cots, so it's hard to have a family life
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
fucked
doing
up.
that.
It's really fucked up. And it
Yeah.
was encouraged. That was the problem. It was an encouraged behavior because you needed to be the best of the best. And it was encouraged by the EAs and the publishers, more or less, because they knew. I always have this saying: if someone doesn't have a skill but knows you love what you do, and they can pay you to do that for them, they will extract everything possible out of you if they know that you love what you do. So all advice to all motion graphics artists: pretend you don't love what you do.
There
Pretend
you
you're a
go.
soulless corporate lawyer selling some pixels.
Exactly. Man. Yeah. Hard life. It's a hard life. Okay, so let's go to the next one. You ready?
Brilliant. I love my dark humor. Yes, Dancing with Death. I like this
Speaking
one.
of dark humor, Dance with Death. There is the word death in the title. It's also purple as well.
Yeah, so it's happy. We're celebrating death. Death should be celebrated as much as it should be mourned. So this is just super simple. I made this when I heard a family friend had died, and I was living in England, and I just didn't get back for the funeral. And she lived a great life. Her name was Billy. She was a partner of a very close family friend of ours called Harry. They were like grandparents to us in a sense, myself and my brother, because they just became quite close with our family through my mother. And she passed away, and I always have existential crisis about death, but I wanted to make death celebratory in the sense of, I think what was it? There's a great quote from Mike Tyson saying, being born is glorious and death should be seen as glorious too. And I wanted this idea that, you're just celebrating someone's life. You're celebrating what they've done. You're celebrating what they've achieved. But the sadness comes and the skull's dropping on your head because that's death. But you're working through it. You're working through it. You're dancing. You're expressing yourself. That's kind of the idea behind it.
Interesting. So this is more like people who have been left behind that are working through it, I would say, right? I mean, because
Yeah. I think death is much sadder for the people you leave behind than the person dying.
right,
Because once you die, death isn't bad anymore, is it? Which is quite
that's
a
what I'm.
comforting but dark feeling.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not more suffering after you die.
Yeah, I don't want to meet Diablo.
Yeah, no. Okay, so let's see. Did you want to say anything else? Is there sound? It looks like, is there
Yes, there is.
sound?
So
Oh,
I do
whoa, okay, that's
use,
very loud.
like some royalty-free music on my stuff from time to time,
Okay.
because I don't have an. I'd love to get a musician to help me, but it's not always possible. So some stuff, I'll maybe reach out to an artist, say, "Oh, can I use this? If I sell it, I'll give you royalties." Sometimes I'm just like, because there is an original song to this, but I can't use it because it's Jamie XX. So
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I know that you also do music too, so I mean, will you be doing that anytime in the future?
I do have it on my goal to make one song from start to finish. I have about 10 half songs done that are just messy, but I do try and make music. But I think it's the hardest thing is when you're starting out to make music is make an actual track from start to finish, because you'll get halfway through it and then you won't have done the bridge, or you won't have done your third chorus, and you'll be like, fuck it, I'll just start something new.
So you said that you have 10 half songs?
Probably
Oh,
so I have
wow.
I have like ideas. I wouldn't even call them songs. I have like
That's a full
ideas.
album.
10 half
Half,
songs.
half a full album.
So 10 half songs is an EP.
I mean, you could be avant-garde and just skip the bridge.
Right. Skip the bridge. Oh, the music community will kill me.
Okay, so let's see. For known origin, let's see. You've got four pieces.
Yes, I've got 4 pieces, and I'll continue to upload onto Known Origin. So I have this kind of weird thing with Known Origin, and so I have this thing with the Tezos blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain, because Ethereum is so bloody expensive to mint on. I tend to put the work on, and this isn't me being snobby or elitist. This is me I'm trying to put the most flashy looking work on Ethereum, the stuff I think that is more flashy.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean, like, because I'd love to put more work on Ethereum, I'd put more of my experimental work on Ethereum. But this kind of segues into my Tezos collection.
Yes.
Whereas I can just throw stuff up on Tezos where it's experimental or amazing looking or flashy, and it's stuff from recently, it's stuff from 10 years ago, it's stuff that I think looks terrible, but it's okay. Maybe other people think it's okay. But because I can just throw stuff up there, I tend to just put random stuff on my Tezos, so it's much more experimental. It's less focused on, they're still purple. What am I talking? Why am I kidding myself? There's purple everywhere. So, yeah, basically, it's kind of it's a mishmash of different stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I see you've got stuff on Calumet, the Left Field collection. I never even heard of that. That's interesting.
Oh, the Left Field collection is my own name for my collection.
Oh, okay. And then Hicket Nunk. Very
So
cool.
we can talk through, like, if you want to pick out a couple of pieces, we can, something that interests you.
This is, I mean, what's going on here? What's
You would pick like the darkest one out of absolutely everything.
I am low-key into the darkness.
Big smile on my face talking about death again. Yeah, so this is, it takes so long for stuff to render on, it's mad.
It does take a while.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Tezos is still slow, but I believe in you, Tezos.
Yeah, a lot of times if I'm looking for something to purchase on a platform that's using Tezos, I'll actually just go to Twitter and look up what people are crazy
That's what
about.
I do. If I collect on Tezos, I go to Twitter and go to the link. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
and that's the other thing about Tezos I love, is I can collect because it's cheaper.
Absolutely. I know my Twitter name ends with .eth, but I love Tezos. Absolutely.
Yes, I am bullish on Tezos and hawkish on Solana. What?
Oh my god. Let's go back to this dark hooded figure.
So lovely. This is about the passing of my dad. This is, yeah, I'm going to say this on live stream. This is quite dark. So I hadn't seen my father for about 8 years before he passed. I didn't get to see him when he passed. He was quite, there's a song by Simon and Garfunkel, I don't know if anyone knows it, Peculiar Man. Yeah, he was quite a peculiar man. And it kind of describes my dad. And he passed away in Kenya, of all places, because he had a partner out in Kenya who he had a long-term relationship with. I mean, that's another rabbit hole in itself. How did he get there? Was she, there was a feeling, was she extracting money from him even though he was pretending he had money and he didn't have money? Do you know what I mean? It was a weird situation. I thought I had like a sibling out there because there was a lie about it. It was very peculiar time when he passed away. So I made this piece to deal with it. And in a sense, it was very cathartic to make this piece of art because I have a very strained relationship with my father. So there's this idea. So there's this idea when my daughter came along, my brother and my mother were like, "Oh, it's a new child. It's going to break down the family heirloom, and it's not going to be this disastrous lineage anymore because you've got your shit together. Sarah, my partner's got her shit together, and this idea of the pillars cracking in the background is this idea of the Roman Empire dying, kind of a thing. So the family heirloom, the kind of the thing that was holding everything up, which was him. He was holding a lot of things up of like past trauma, PTSD for all of us himself. And so he was passing, and that's the Grim Reaper coming through. A super, super dark piece, but very cathartic making it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have here, it says in the description, life is a game we all have to say
GG at some point.
GG.
GG is a term used by gamers that if you know you're going to lose and you're beyond the point of mathematical comeback, you all type in the chat GG and it means good game, game over.
Ah, okay.
And the description in the piece is actually a small part of a small rap I wrote.
It is?
Yeah, which I put words to, but no one will hear. Maybe one day someone will hear.
I will hear it. I will keep on nagging you until you show it to me.
I just presumed the gloom and doom of the family heirloom, and that's just basically talking about the heirloom of shit that went on. Yeah, that's that piece. I glad we got that one over first.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said I'm glad we got that piece described.
Okay. All right, so let's maybe pick one that is not as dark. I mean, this looks playful, is it?
Yes, very playful.
I mean, it's Cloud9 sounds like a playful.
Yes. So another theme within my art is rave culture, escapism, and kind of the point of just that point if you're out in the night and you're peaking and you feel like you're just in your own world, and the people around you are in that world with you. It's a very kind of a cathartic experience I find when you're raving or you're at a gig, and this is kind of talking about that that idea that you're on this rock of Cloud9 and you can see this person climbing up. They're just about to get there with you. And it's not talking about drugs. Like people think it's about drugs, because I actually don't take like drugs. I've taken drugs on night out, but I've been with my friends who have, and we both had the same experience, whether you're high or not high, which is quite nice. So it's just that idea. Like I like to kind of dance as well on nights out. So it's that idea where you're just like you and the beat are one. That kind of very, 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 very kind of, I don't know, religious. I call it almost religious experience with music.
Absolutely. I am a dancer myself, so I can totally relate to that. Does this have sound, or there's a big speaker?
I think there is an animation with sound. It uses an old, but this is still the track I put with it is "Feeling So Real" by Moby. So which is quite an old track, very, very old track, and I'm sure Moby wouldn't mind if I tried to mint it, but I wouldn't do that to Moby.
Okay, well, yes, Moby is very nice.
He's very cool.
He's a very nice person. But yeah, okay, cool. Let's see, what else do we have here? How about you pick one? I picked the first two. Is there one in particular that you want to actually talk about?
Let's go. Okay, I want to talk about Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
Just because it's ridiculous. So, because it's just stupid but fun. So, if you look at how many versions there are, how many available, there's like too many. It's never going to sell out. And it's just so stupid and simple, this idea that like, is someone going to take are we going to get to the end of the editions of this piece? I think only 50 just over 50 have been minted. I'm not sure, and sold, and it's super cheap. And I'm hoping maybe in 10 years, diamonds won't be forever anymore.
I mean, you know the story behind the diamond, right? Why
Probably not.
Oh God, now I'm putting myself on the spot. There was actually a company, and I can't remember the name of the company right now, where diamonds were not like a wedding thing whatsoever, but they did their marketing so well that now everybody thinks it's part of the actual culture when it was really marketing, the company's marketing that made it popular.
I think I
Now,
do know. It was a podcast. It was a podcast I
oh,
listened
there was a
to.
podcast on it.
Uh,
Let me see if I can find.
was it an NPR podcast? I think I listened to.
NPR's awesome. They have. Um, Let me see if I can find the name of the company. It's. Yeah, they were not. They were worthless until a marketing strategy like helped it get
So
popular.
I kind
The
of knew
Beards.
that.
The Beards.
Oh, that's it. Yes. So I
Yeah.
kind of knew that about. I didn't know who did it, and I didn't know that story, but I always knew that there's plenty of diamonds, and they're completely marketed to be something that they're not, which is
Mhm.
the idea of this piece. It's
Yeah.
just talking, and the piece is silly, kind of representing that diamonds are silly.
Ah, got it. Wait, why do you say the piece itself is silly?
Well,
What's
it's
that
this
connection?
idea that there's 1,000 editions, and I just
Okay, all
don't
right.
like. I don't think anyone's gonna. I don't think I'm gonna sell 1,000. Maybe one day, but
Right.
the description is there. Sometimes we confuse commoditized beauty. I probably did that wrong as well. So diamonds are a perfect example of social pressure can have value. So this idea that you got to get your diamond for your lady. So it's
Yeah,
that kind of that kind of shit.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Very cool. I like that concept, even though you say it's silly. I still like the concept a lot. Um, what else is there?
So
Did you want to talk about anything else
we
regarding this, or
we scroll down a little
okay,
bit. There might be something that triggers. Let's talk about this. This is a kind of a dark but nice piece. So a
a
helping
helping
hand.
hand?
Yeah, this is just about depression, and just this idea that we just need to ask for help or just talk about it. Look for the help
Wow.
um, in the darkness. It's very, very unlike most of my work. I don't usually do illustration,
Mhm.
um, but if you've ever played a game called Limbo, um, it's very inspired by the aesthetic of Limbo and this kind of monotone, which kind of fits into the idea
Ah,
of depression a little bit. So that's kind of all that piece is, but it's definitely a piece I personally like because it's not looking at it. I'm like, did I do that?
yeah,
Which is quite nice.
yeah. I do. I love it very much, and yeah, it does remind me of some games that are very artsy. Uh, yeah, I love that. And let's see, it's a okay. The description. Sometimes you just need to look for it. A helping hand. Very cool. Is this some kind of lesson that you learned with your experiences?
Yes, toxic masculinity. Stop suppressing your
Ah,
feelings.
okay, okay.
You
Well,
know,
it's good to see that the artist is growing as well.
I'm like a Pokemon.
Wait, what? Pokemon what?
I'm like a Pokemon. I evolve.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Very cool. So, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in general, or with a particular piece on any of these?
um, I guess. I
There's
mean, there's loads to talk about in terms of if we
oh
can actually. Oh yeah, we can talk about Nano. This would be
yeah,
quite
let's
cool.
talk about Nano. You did a lot of
So,
work on Nano.
oh,
You even worked with some people in where was it? Is it Saudi Arabia or am I like is it
Australia.
Australia? Oh, sorry, Australia. Okay.
Yeah,
Totally wrong. Totally different part of the world, but okay, let's go. Let's talk about Nano.
Saudi Arabia is cool. We can pretend it's Saudi Arabia.
Australia.
I don't think the Saudis would love some of my socio-political commentary on my art, but
No, they probably wouldn't. Okay.
yes. So Nano is probably the best hidden secret in NFT collections. I'm not the biggest fan of PFP projects. I wouldn't even call this a PFP project. Um, I worked with Nano, and I created these dope cards with Kevin O'Shea as well. He worked closely with me. Also, Sam Miles is a motion designer, and Taylor Wong was also an art director on this in terms of other assets for the client. Just want to mention people there because it's important. Yeah. And Nano's idea was we're going to create these cards, and when you mint the card, you unlock fashion items in Decentraland, and you unlock some of those items in real world that we'll send you. They had some cool partnerships going on. They did a partnership with Diesel, Giuseppe. They did a really cool partnership with Giuseppe. Deadfellas partnered with them for a while. And it was such an interesting process. I've never done something so technical in my life in 3D. And I know they just look like cards, but we had to work with a dev team and there's loads of other actual materials that we never used in the end. I think in total, if we actually ran the script, we would have had something like 50,000 variations.
Oh my God,
we had so many materials and so many combinations. It just ended up being, I think it was 512 in the end, or I can't remember, 522. So there's hair, there's velvet, there's ostrich leather, which is very interesting. I've never heard of ostrich leather until I worked with Nano.
Okay. Is that what
marble? Yeah, that's ostrich leather. Okay. And then on the legendary cards, you have these diamond materials, which is just super cool. And yeah, yeah. And they're the legendaries, which unlock more items, I think, and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's kind of, it was really fun. We ended up making these awesome animations for them as well, which I should have linked you before the show. I just remembered we did these awesome animations. And they were origin stories of each card. So, for instance, the snakeskins card, you had the snake rolling out, and the snake tries to attack the camera. It shakes and turns into a Nano card. It's very cool.
Oh wow!
And Kevin worked on that. I think.
Where do members get to see this animation? Do they actually see it when they
Oh no! So it was just part of the promotional campaign behind Nano.
I see.
Yeah, so it was just as we released the card, you'd see these animations and stuff, just on Twitter and Instagram and stuff.
And what is the difference between a rare member and the legendary? And are there other type of members or?
Yeah, so I think the legendary members would have, and it was just based on luck, the legendary members would unlock some extra bonuses like Snapchat lenses, where they could try and close the thing and stuff like that. I think they'd have, they maybe have the chance to get more swag or something. I'm not sure of how it worked in the end, because the project kind of it's still going, but it kind of veered off a little bit. It's taken a bit of a break for now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure what we're doing with that, but yeah. And there was an alpha as well. There was an alpha drop. So if you did the alpha drop, you had your alpha card, and when they did the main drop, it turned the alpha card turned instantly into one of the Nano cards we created, which is quite cool.
Oh, okay, very cool. So it sounds like there are some unlockables that come with the Nano card too. You said that there's swag and
so the swag. There's special events. The plan was to have special events at Decentraland. Fashion. I think there was some fashion show ideas. I think there was if you had the card, you'd unlock some collaboration stuff with Deadfellas. I know that every card holder also got a Diesel unlockable shoe, which was quite cool. Wow. For Decentraland. there was like a jacket and stuff. I've kind of like taken a step back from the project because it's kind of, the stuff is on hold at the moment because, you know, we've all experienced the blockchain bust at the moment. I think, you know, we're all taking a step back from the big projects.
Yep.
You know,
that's a blizzard right now.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. This is a very cool project, and the fact that you put so much work into it is pretty amazing with all these materials.
Yeah.
I don't think
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it.
Very cool. So if somebody wants to, I mean, people can still purchase this, right? It looks like.
Yeah, they can. It's in the secondary market.
Okay, very cool. Maybe I will think about minting one.
Do.
I mean, I do love fashion, so it would make sense. All right, is there anything else here? I think we may have covered.
I mean, we can have a quick look at my async. Maybe there's something. Let's have one, and then. Oh, there's brain food. Our brain food. There's still one piece. There's one missing piece. If anyone wants to mint it, there is one missing piece, and it will be complete.
Oh, which is a piece? Which is it?
I think it's the water. I could be wrong. I did. So Web3 is the collector of everything except water.
Oh, okay. Wow. Why was water left out?
I don't know, but we did great work on this. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is a really good piece. I love all the meanings that the meaning behind it, and the with the different materials, the liquid and the objects together, it all creates an even different meaning.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, the combinations can create different meanings, which is really cool. But I think, what else is on there? So I do want to go back to async at some point, but as I said, it's a very thinking process to mint on async because you gotta have a plan in place. You can't just mint. But I think what's on there that I guess. No, I think unless there's something there that sparks your interest.
A lot of it does. I guess, I mean, we did cover some of these pieces in your longer interview on YouTube. So maybe something that I haven't really we haven't talked about. I don't think we talked about this, awakening. I don't remember talking about this. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a philosophical thought process I had. It came out of actually making some visuals for a rave in Tottenham in London. The rave was actually themed around Buddhism and this idea of and I just came up with I found this model of a statue online. I was making these clouds. I was like, I just like the idea of I do like some of the teachings of Buddhism in the sense of I'm trying not to obviously, just steal ideas and apply them to myself, but I like the idea of, life's ever giving. You are the universe, and we're all kind of connected. We're all one. And when you hurt someone close to you, you're hurting yourself. And another thing, which is very, very kind of, it's kind of shallow, but in a nice way. So my granny was called Buddy, and that's what I used to call her. So for some reason, when I was growing up, I connected my granny to Buddhism because her name was Buddy.
Yeah.
So that's what got me distracted. Her actual name is Breda, but for some reason I used to call her Buddy. I think it was because they called her Granny Buddy in Germany, and she wanted that. She was a character. And yeah, so I think I just because the names connect, and because I was so close to my granny at a very young age. She passed away when I was 9, but for some reason she's like very with me even as an older man.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and it's that idea that she's still with me, through Buddhism.
I love that. You seem to have, I mean, you have certain themes within your work, but also definitely you incorporate, the family story into your work, which is very intimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very very abstract ways, but definitely, you know, I think you are your experiences, so why not talk about them?
Yeah. I love that you're able to do that for sure. Very cool. I know you use God Almar's End as your I don't know. Actually, you may have changed your profile
No,
picture.
that's my profile
Oh, is
picture,
it
and
still? Okay.
for a very specific reason.
Okay. I think that would be interesting for you to share with us. Why?
So, God Almar is just a character I created. Um, I'm just trying to think of how to word it. So, this idea that we go through life, and not everyone is overly ambitious, I guess, or but there are people who are overly ambitious and they have these huge standards they want to meet, and you try and build out this career and this kind of like, I call it your empire, but not in the kind of tyrannical way. um, and you have all this work, and it doesn't matter if it's art or visual, it just depends what you have left behind in the world. And then when you have your last and final days, are you going to look back and are you going to be happy with what you achieved? Like, if I am told I have 24 hours to live tomorrow, am I happy I gave what I gave it socks? Like, I gave life as much as I could given the circumstances. And this is the idea of Almar. Is Almar happy? He's a god. He became a god through his work. Is he happy with what he's left behind before he goes into the abyss? Does he feel fulfilled? Does he feel he's passed on his knowledge? He's looking over his empire. He knows that you can kind of see the expression in his face, but he's happy. And one day, I wish to be God Almar.
Wow. What? Where is the name from? Did you just
Haven't
make
a
it up?
clue. I just made it up.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Very cool piece. Very cool. All right. So let's see, you've got works on known origin on
Mm-hmm.
object.com. That's objkt.com.
Always forget to spell how to spell it.
Yeah. Um, and let's see, you've got a lot of work on OpenSea,
Yeah,
async. Um, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of you have a very, very full portfolio of work.
and it will keep increasing over time,
Yeah.
because I'm hoping once Cardano becomes a more utilized blockchain, it's definitely a blockchain project I want to put art on.
Oh, so you wanna definitely
Yeah,
mint on Cardano.
absolutely,
Interesting.
absolutely, very very. I'm a big believer in Cardano. They take a very academic approach to their blockchain technology, and they are they are standing strong at the moment, while others are.
Yeah,
Let's not
yeah.
go there.
It's a very slow growth, which most people like. Are you going to be on like something like cnft.io or those NFT Cardano marketplaces? I guess should start
I've had a look.
early.
I've had a look. I guess I'm looking for. I guess that would be a good platform to go on. But I am looking for more art focus. I think that one's quite collection focused, is it, or is it art focused?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I never know where the audience is, and I tend to, like, if there was something like Object on Cardano, or like even OpenSea on Cardano. I suppose see what was the one you just mentioned is like the OpenSea at Cardano, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's how I see it. But yeah,
Um,
may be others, but yeah, that would be cool to get on to earlier
yeah,
later.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So getting on Cardano early is something that I'll definitely have to do.
absolutely. All right. Well, let's see. Is there else any parting words before I ask you a random question?
Let's go. I think there's a bit of static.
Uh-oh. Let's
I
see.
think it's okay. It's kind of like
Hear me now?
yes, but there is still slight bit of static.
Okay, not sure what's causing that.
Maybe it's my end. One sec. Let me just make sure it's not. Try that. I think that's
Okay. Why am
okay.
okay? How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay.
But I can't see you anymore. Hello everyone.
Let's see here. Why am I not
Am I the host now?
host? You are now the host.
Brilliant.
Um,
Welcome to Rare Digital Bird.
okay. Well, let's see. I don't. Do I still sound like I'm staticky?
No, it's perfect now. But
Okay.
I mean, we can't see you, but
Unfortunately, you cannot see me, and something happened. Um,
I actually feel so empty without your beautiful interior there.
I know. For some reason, it's not up. Anyway, we need to tell everybody where to find you. So you're on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
Breaking the Bold. So at Breaking the Bold, which is here in the caption, if you guys see that. And yeah, you definitely have works on many platforms, as we listed before. And I guess what we can do is kind of end this interview with a fun question. If you pick between 1 and 100.
Okay. 73.
73. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. 73. Where is it?
I bet everyone picks 69 because they're mature.
No, nobody has picked 69 yet. But it is a good question. Um, oh, interesting. A 73 is what's your favorite fashion trend right now?
Oh fuck! I'm not that cool.
I guess it's kind of an open nano, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I do have a fashion style, and I think it's not a trend, but I love Air Max. I love Nike Air Max, and I hope to one day buy. Oh, a Nike Air Max. They're like I don't know. They're very kind of UK raver culture shoe.
UK River.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the rave scene, but all the Gen Zers are now gentrifying our culture.
Okay. Um, okay, that's cool. I wish I had a picture of it.
What else do I like?
Next. So it's a shoe. It's basically it's a shoe.
Yes, it's a runner. It's not even that fancy. It's just a specific Nike shoe that is part of just a certain subculture that I like.
Okay. All right. Really cool. Yeah, a lot of shoe collectors out there. So that's
Oh,
really
I'm bullish on shoes.
you're bullish on shoes. Awesome.
It's not a girl thing to like shoes.
Well, unless you have anything else that you want to share, I think that's all we have for today, right?
That's cool.
Just make sure to follow Breaking the Bold on Twitter and check out his work on async.art, known origin, object.com. That's OBAKT.com. And then there's also OpenSea. Yeah. Well, thank
Awesome.
you so much. And I'm so sorry that my my video has disappeared, but we still see your face, and you're basically the star of this show. So,
Here I am,
all
taking
right,
over your live streams.
all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it was so great to have you on the show. Take care.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right.